class to the next is the conversation that we're going to have with Tank Davis moving up. He's getting bigger, he's getting thicker.
Yes.
But we're going to talk about what you need to do to make sure you can transfer power and what does that actually take, because it's not a guarantee that your power is going to transfer. So what are the actual factors of this being one of the denominators that if you're going up in weight, you cannot punch? I don't care how much you think you can hit. Whenever you go up in weight, you go up and dealing with different levels of bone density, so it's not going to transfer unless you got very dense bone. And I'm going to tell you exactly.
Let me ask you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So exactly how does that bone density come into play? Can't you kind of build up that bone density in camp?
You can build up bone density, but most people aren't thinking about bone density. A lot of people are focusing on building muscles, right? Doing all of these different conditioning kinds of drills, but specific bone density. It doesn't matter how big Jermell Charlo got when he fought Canelo. It doesn't matter how big Crawford got because he was already of that stature. You have to think the progressive ladder when you're talking about going up in weight. And when Gervonta Davis fights Jake Paul, when you got a Gervonta Davis that's actually coming in somewhere in the 160 mark. Why? Because that's what he actually is walking around at, in the high 50s, mid 50s. And he's going to do a little bit of gain. And so that's fine because he has, no matter what size he gets, he'll always have the molecular speed advantage. But if you're trying to get power and you're trying to transfer it up against a larger guy, it's all about what one of the things that Gervonta Davis does well anyway. And it's all about creating an angle off of an offensive move done by the opposition. So if Jake Paul throws a punch, Gervonta Davis makes sure he creates what we call a split, a step around, a side step, 45-degree angle.
So how does that work exactly? Like, how does that give him the advantage?
Because now you're not only hitting from a blind spot, but you have an angle on him, and it's harder to defend when a guy has an angle on you. So the process that I taught that really was really powerful, and I learned this from Coach Kenny Adams, who coached nearly 300 champion boxers in his career. And when he started to show me that it's not about all the fancy mitt work, but it's about understanding how to keep your fighter moving as he's creating an angle, not just creating an angle straight off of a standstill move, but knowing how to throw punches, create angles, create circles, create angles, and then having the ability to go lateral with your guy, pulling them back, and then create an angle. That's why we created footwork sequences.
There you go.
You know, stepping around, hop, step, pivot, drop and roll, pivot off the pivot off the pivot off of the side step, pivot off of the Ray Robinson move, which is a pressure move, and it's a retreat move, but understanding how to create the pivot and the angle off of that move. So
yeah, and that plays into that other video that you have about Tank. He doesn't create the knockouts with his hands. It creates them with his feet.
That's right. And knowing how to do that, that sets you up for power. Because when you see a guy get knocked out, you say that's power, right? No, it's a good punch and it's a good target. And he hit it dead on the spot. And it makes all the sense in the world when you think about it, because some of the most hardest punches didn't result in knockouts, but they don't measure on the screen. So you don't know how hard it hits and lands, and the fighter is affected by it. But when you got somebody like Gervonta Tank Davis, understanding the art of footwork and the periodic table of boxing. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, it's got me wondering. So, what would you tell a fighter that's looking to go up in weight and they don't really have a solid footwork game? They probably have the basics down, and that's it. I'm thinking it's probably not a good idea.
Well, one of the things that I did is what people don't know, that Manny Pacquiao was a part of our circle, right? Our chief sparring partner, our fighter became his chief sparring partner for years. And what I started to notice with Manny is not just the angles, but knowing how to punch while the angle is happening, knowing how to instantly punch the guy once he turned the corner and opened up the back door. that was one of the things that people had never seen done technically. Has it happened just off the cuff and instinctively? Yeah, but no one has said, oh, we're going to do this as a drill and create this as a skill and then implement this as a fight and make a Hall of Fame legendary fighter. No one had ever seen that, right?
Exactly.
Until now. And so creating the ability to open up the door, and Coach Eddie Futch
Yep.
was masterful when it came to knowing exactly how to maximize a lesser fighter's abilities. All right, he took Riddick Bowe and built Riddick Bowe up. We worked with Riddick Bowe in camp back in, I think it was 1998, 97, 98, for a short stint. And one of the things that Riddick Bowe always alluded to was how no matter how much he wanted to throw hard shots, that Eddie always made him stick with a solid bomb. And then pay attention to Riddick Bowe's footwork and his inside fight game. His inside fight game was predicated off his foot placement. And that's part of what we call the periodic table and understanding footwork sequences. Now, he's one of the biggest heavyweights to ever do it, and to actually have it under his feet other than Muhammad Ali.
Well, I would ask you then, what does Tank have? What power can we expect to see at 160? That all being the case.
We're going to see the hat trick. And if you guys want to understand what the footwork sequencing is and understanding hat tricks, then I'm going to leave a link in the description after this video is off. You can go and look through there and you can find masterful footwork.
Yep.
And if you want to see the punching ability, then there's a bundle. I'm going to put together what is called the finishers bundle.
Yeah, finishers bundle. We'll put the link down there for you.
It's the exact same process that some of these guys that you've seen in the world of boxing that just had dazzling footwork and you just couldn't figure it out. So that'll be something that if you have trouble finishing, guys, this is the great training.
It's loaded. It's loaded. I think it's got like 6 trainings. So like you said, the footwork.
That's right.
And the punching, Master 2, it's solid.
Yeah. That was the reaction drill. That Master 2 shows you how Roger Mayweather developed those network cycles. So if you're a trainer, this is great for you. If you're a fighter, it's great to receive it. Ooh. So either way, you know, this is the actual blueprint to creating power going up in weight. And this is what you'll see Gervonta Tank Davis actually do, because my coaching came directly out of the DMV in Philadelphia. And that's what you're going to see on display whenever he fights Jake Paul, because that's what he will have to do, but he will have to master the art of some of these new fine points. So you'll see it, and it's going to be great. And he will be able to carry his power up, but he won't have to deliver it in a manner that you think he does. So if you want to learn more, just continue to follow us.
We'll be here.
If you're curious about seeing what that footwork sequence and stuff look like, I made sure that there was a link created. It is, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
That is down there in the description. So enjoy it. Thanks for taking the time to watch it. And when it's all said and done, man, this is about boxing. Our sport is on the rise.
Definitely.
And it's about to take over once again, even above the NFL. Maybe not soccer, but it's all good. Special shouts out to you. Let us know exactly where you're watching from down in the comment boxes, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Boom. In the winner's circle group. Peace.